Hello, and welcome to Authors Amplified. I'm your host, Stephanie O'Neill. My show is a part of the Amplified Podcast Network, where ideas echo and voices resonate. With over 20 years at Christian Television Network, I've had the privilege of meeting countless talented and spiritual individuals, and it's too inspiring not to share. I'm just a girl who loves Jesus wholeheartedly. I'm eager to learn and grow, and I'd like you to join me on this journey. In each episode, I'll be speaking with Christian authors who will share their stories and insights about the books they've written. I'm thrilled to have you with us, so let's get started. Welcome to Authors Amplified. I am super excited about this interview today, this book. You want to stick around because you are going to want to get this book, I promise you. So today we're talking to Emily Baine Murphy. The book is called A Kingdom of Shadows, and I am so excited to have you today, Emily. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really happy.
So super excited for this. This is one of those books that I had a hard time putting down, and I couldn't wait to get back to because I couldn't find out what happens. And the imagination that goes into something like this, I can't even conceive because I don't have that kind of imagination. And as I was reading, it was almost like watching a movie in my head.
Mm,
So good.
that's so kind. And that's actually exactly how I write. I am seeing a movie in my head, and then I'm just kind of transcribing what I'm seeing. So I'm really happy that that came across.
Wow, that's amazing. So can we hear a little bit about you? Tell us about
Sure.
Emily.
Yes. So I'm Emily Baine Murphy. I am a follower of Jesus. I love him very much. And I am a traditionally published author of 4 books, 5 as of next week when Lightseekers hits bookshelves everywhere.
Wow.
And those range from books for adult readers. I have some adult historical mysteries, though they're called The Ivory City and Enchanted Hill. And then I have 2 books for young adult readers. Those are historical fantasies with a touch of magic, and they are called Splinters of Scarlet and The Disappearances. And Lightseekers, A Kingdom of Shadows, is my middle grade debut. It is a fantasy, and it's the first of a trilogy, and I'm just really, really excited about this one.
I truly could not put the book down. It's something, if you're wanting to get your children into reading or if they love to read, this is a great one, but it's not just for kids. I think it's for adults also.
Yes, I'm so glad to hear you say that because I feel the same way. In fact, my 72-year-old father said that this is his favorite of my books.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's hitting in the 70-year-old demographic. Also, I am very happy to say, not that
I
he's
love
biased.
that. Well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons I started this podcast is because I want to get parents reading to their children again and get
Yes.
children a love for books. This would be such a good book to sit down at night and read to your kids because it brings up so much imagination that you could get your kids going in, you know?
Yes, yeah, I really envision this book as a great read aloud. I
Hmm.
hope it will capture the imaginations of kids and their parents, that it'll be a book that everyone's looking forward to seeing how it ends. And I also think it can provide just good avenues for natural conversation, which
Yes.
is what you're always kind of aiming for when you're writing books.
Right. So, in that regard, what deeper messages about family and belonging do you hope young readers will take away from A Kingdom of Shadows?
That's such a good question. I love the found family element of this book. It's one of my favorite tropes. So in the book, we have Finn and his younger sister Lydia, and Finn's best friend Adrian are living in the kingdom of Wildfell. And Wildfell is steadily being overcome by strengthening shadows. And they end up meeting a stranger who tells them he knows the way to a lake of magical light. and he invites them on this journey to come with him. And if they are able to find it, it could potentially not only change the fate of the whole kingdom, but things deep within themselves as well. And so along the way, they are going to meet new friends and a few adversaries. And I love the way that these relationships form because you
Hmm.
have a wide range of personalities, and I'm hoping that people will be able to identify with at least one of the characters.
Hmm.
Um, and I just love the way that they can naturally come to really deeply love one another. And I'm hoping that readers will feel that way as well, that they've made kind of these new friends that they can then carry with them. That's how I look back on books that I truly loved as a child, that they're my friends.
Right, because you do make a connection with the characters, and you're almost like cheering them on and hoping they go, in the right direction because they have choices to make. And
That's right. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Choice is a really big theme of this book. I think at the beginning, Finn in particular, he's kind of our most main character. He has lived a life that he just had to. He was in
Hmm.
survival mode and he's trying to care for his younger sister. And along the way, as he's invited along this journey with this stranger named Eret, he gets to start peeling back the ideas of, okay, I lived this way because I thought that I had to, and I had a certain worldview about the world that I was on my own. And now I'm realizing that maybe I'm not as alone as I thought. And
Mm,
now I get to choose a little bit more the kind of person that I want to become.
right, right. So how do the characters' personal journeys reflect like the broader themes of resilience and hope?
Hmm. I think there's a decent amount of setbacks in this
Hmm.
book, as with every good epic journey,
Hmm.
that we do get to see the characters have to dig in a little, and possibly reformulate w where their hope is coming from. At the beginning, their hope is placed in a certain place, and I think by the end, we're going to see that that develops and changes. And I think it's very reflective of my own journey and hopefully a lot of other people's journeys as well, that they can kind of relate to what that looks like, especially in the realm of faith.
Hmm. Very good. Can you discuss the significance of the Lake of Light in the story and what it symbolizes for the characters?
Yeah, so the Lake of Light, I can see it very clearly in my mind, and that's just always how as I mentioned, I write. I sort of have a vision. But this Lake of Light it's rumored to be mythical. And so most people don't think it actually exists. They kind of laugh at this idea that anyone would believe that it's actually real because it's too good to be true. But this stranger is saying, no, it's very real, and I know where. Um, so they do have to exercise some faith and trust, just in taking that first step to go with him. And so I think that the Lake of Light really symbolizes just hope that this is not all there is, that
Right.
there's beautiful things, far, far better things ahead for us than anything we leave behind.
Right. I hope people are getting this. I hope people are hearing this and they're getting it because there will be able to be so many conversations
Hmm.
when you read this with your children because
Yes.
it can relate to a lot of things that we deal with, a lot of
Hmm.
things that we know and see and oh yes, so
Hmm.
so good. So what lessons about friendship and trust are woven into the narrative and why are they important for children to learn?
Mm. I think one of the big lessons about friendship is you get to choose who your friends are,
Mhm.
and we become so much like the people that we surround ourselves with. And I think that Finn sees something in Eret that is deeply attractive to him. These qualities and this love and this kindness, compassion and hope that he is very much drawn to. And I think he realizes, oh, this is somebody that I want to spend time with and that I want to become like. And
Mm-hmm.
so their friendship is very, um, it's formational for
Mm-hmm.
Finn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a theme that I really have been exploring a lot in my own life of just spiritual formation and that we become a brand new kind of a person um, with Jesus, and that
Right.
he is. What I really wanted to do was cast this vision for my own children,
Mm.
who are about this reading age, that Jesus as friend is someone who's smart and funny and wise and kind, and life with him is not boring. It's the best adventure that you could ever take. And so yeah, I really wanted to cast that vision of Jesus as friend.
That's so good. So good. So in the book they face fears. How do you address the concept of facing fears and overcoming obstacles? Because there are parts in there where my heart was palpitating a little bit,
Yeah.
waiting to see what's going to happen.
I am glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you were invested. I think that each character in this book and also throughout the series is going to be faced with some of their deepest fears. And I think that's very true to life.
Hmm.
And how you go about facing fears, again, when you think you're on your own and you have to do it in your own strength versus facing a deep fear with someone like Jesus or someone like Eric at your side who loves you deeply, who
Mm,
sees, who cares, and who is stronger than any darkness. It really does change the way that you face the things that you fear.
right. That's so good. How do the fantastical elements of your story, and fantastical is just such a great word, help convey real world issues and emotions to young readers?
I think that that's such a good question, by the way. I think that fantasy in particular, all fiction, but fantasy really, on a different level, helps us to grasp truths about the world. Um, I love the quote by C.S. Lewis that talks about how through imagination we can kind of slip past sleeping dragons that would normally kind of get up and say like, no, we're not going there. That's moralizing or it's boring or whatever. And he obviously is such a classic example of being able to do that so well with Chronicles of Narnia. And so I think sometimes when you put things in a fantastical world, you're kind of telling it slant. So you get to go on this adventure, and the truth just kind of winks in the light.
Hmm.
In a way that maybe you're not hitting it so directly, but it can almost then get into the deeper parts of our hearts.
Right. Yeah, true. That's true. Even, I mean, like I said, it's great. It would be great for kids, but even adults, because I found myself going, oh, thinking like, okay, now I get it, the process or what the
Mm.
story is or what's happening.
Yeah, and sometimes when you just tell something a little bit different, it can cause something to click. Even when
Hmm.
I'm writing it, it's just kind of like, oh, I'm telling a very old story in a new way,
Right.
with a slightly angle, and the truths are there. We hope that they are hidden there
Hmm.
and able to be unearthed, but kind of in a new fun adventure to take.
Adventure. That's a good word for it, adventure. So I talked earlier about because the imagination in this is beyond my thought process because I think I'm pretty linear is why.
Mm.
Just to all of the different things that you thought of and all of the different ways to rescue. I mean, there were just so many things. So what role does imagination play in the lives of your characters, and
Hmm.
how do you hope it will inspire your readers?
Oh, wow. That is such a good question. I think first of all, this book was so funny because it's my fifth published book, but it's my
Hmm.
first true fantasy where I was just really able to let my imagination run wild in this fantastical book. And before this, I had always written mysteries, and I actually found this one so easy to write after the process of like carefully plotting breadcrumbs of mysteries. And this one has presented its own challenges because it's my first time writing a trilogy, a series. And so I'm kind of learning that new challenge as I
Mm-hmm.
go. But it's so much fun to to me. It's very life-giving to be able to use my imagination in fantastical ways. And I think that the kids, there's so much of a vision that needs to be cast, and you have to use your imagination in that way in order
Mm-hmm.
to see that. I don't know if you're familiar with Dallas Willard, but I really love him and his books. And he was a Baptist minister, and he was also a professor of philosophy at USC, and a great Christian thinker. And he has this process called VIM. It's vision, intention, means, and that is how he believes people change on a fundamental level. But
Mm-hmm.
that vision part at the very beginning is what's super important. Your heart has to be captured by something that you
Mm-hmm.
want. And so if you can cast that vision and grasp it, and you do need a certain amount of imagination to be able to see what could be.
Yeah.
And that is really what I'm trying to do in this book, and also what the characters are experiencing when Eret is casting this vision of a new kind of life and an adventure and something that is beyond their imagination or belief at the beginning. They have to use their imagination a bit to be
Mm-hmm.
able to believe that vision and trust.
Yeah.
So I think imagination is actually deeply important in this story.
It's all important. So, what do you hope children will understand about the importance of courage and kindness through the adventures of your characters?
Mm. There is a big amount of courage needed again, to believe in something that is not right in front of you. That does take courage.
Mm-hmm.
You are putting your trust in something that is very real, but you might not be able to see, or might not be able to see right away. And so I do think that that takes courage. And
Yeah.
again, that feeds into the fact that our life with God is such an adventure.
Yes.
It's an art. And he allows us the dignity of having the courage to take that first step. We have to choose it ourselves, to go on this adventure with him. He invites us, and then each of us get to choose,
Mm-hmm.
whether we're going to accept that invitation and say, yes, I think you've captured my heart. I want to go on that adventure with you. Um, so I think we'll see the characters having to be courageous, both in just taking that first step of the journey, and also, facing a bunch of setbacks or facing their fears throughout. And I think steadily coming to see that when someone like Jesus is with you, is
Mm.
intimately with you, that courage does take on a new form.
Yes.
And I think that their courage is, as the story goes on and they realize that things might not always play out exactly how they would have imagined or thought maybe even it should, it
Mm-hmm.
does it does work out in beautiful ways because they are in very, very good hands.
Right. There could be so many lessons for parents to teach their children through this about courage, about bravery, about
Hmm.
trusting, about
Mm,
I mean following, somebody and it's, especially like one of the things I got from it was like um you're wanting to follow Jesus, but maybe your friend,
right.
you know what I'm saying, is
Yeah.
not into it and trying
Hmm.
to get you away from there. So there's just
Hmm.
so many lessons, and that's the simplistic. I don't want to. I want everyone to read this book. I want them to read it. I don't want to give too much away. But can we talk about because I also want to help people who want to be authors or who have it in their minds, did you always want to be an author or is this something that was a surprise to you?
I did. I have always wanted to be an author for as long as I can remember. I grew up in southern Indiana and also in Asia. I grew up abroad,
Oh, wow.
and I just read voraciously because honestly, there wasn't a lot of English television on, and
Mm.
this was a little bit pre-internet, and I just loved stories, and they were feeding my imagination, and they were building my empathy, um, and they felt like home. If I was moving around a lot, I had my friends that I could always go back to in stories.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I think that was very instrumental in planting that desire early on that I wanted to create stories. And so I
Hmm.
would write and write and write. My mom said she was always finding scraps of paper where I was just,
Yeah.
exercising my imagination in stories and abandoning them. And so my true dream was always to be an author. And so this is just really, it's such a gift, and I'm really
Wow.
grateful.
I mean, I feel you like you have a God-gifted talent
Hmm.
because of the imagination that goes into this. And I know all authors have different processes.
Hmm.
I'm wondering, can you share just like a little bit? Do you just sit down and start writing? Do you have ideas and go, different ideas and you just pull from them? Or how does that work, especially with a book like this?
So I always start usually with some sort of a, image, some vision in my mind. And I have kind of learned to hone this sense of excitement or like a little nudge, a little shimmer, maybe from the spirit, like that one.
Mm-hmm.
And so before, when I was writing my earliest novels, I just kind of thought, oh, I'm just a very visual person. This is just kind of how I get my ideas. And lately, I've been realizing, oh, that's a way that God really communicates with me. And
Mm-hmm.
we are co-creating together. And it's just really, again, that's exciting. That's an adventure of an interactive life with God, and it's very life-giving for me. So I will start with some sort of an image, some sort of this little tingle feeling that, oh, I want to live in this world for a little bit. Usually it's very atmospheric vibes, and I will start and just kind of start writing.
Mm.
And that can be anywhere from a page to a couple chapters. And I'll kind of take that initial motivation as far as I can go until it runs out of fumes. And then I will either start to do some research, or I will make a Pinterest page that kind of again captures those vibes that I'm thinking about.
Okay, yeah.
And I used to, again, early in my career, the first book I wrote, I pantsed, which is when you just write by the seat of your pants and you don't really know where you're going.
Hmm.
And I ended up having to write that book, which was The Disappearances, about 14 times. And I decided I don't want to do that again. So
Not pantsing again.
I'm not pantsing. I'm not a pantser anymore. I am a reformed pantser. I am much more into now outlining and kind of setting myself a target that I'm moving towards, and then I kind of let my imagination get me from starting point to ending point. And honestly, sometimes the ending point changes as I go
Mhm.
along, and
Oh.
I'm always just trying to listen to the story and where the story wants and needs to go. And that again
Mhm.
is just kind of a sense that I'm always, I think, honing and trying to get better at.
Sure, that's great. If there's somebody listening right now and they want to be an author, they think they want to be an author, they've got
Mhm.
ideas and stuff like that. Is there any advice they'd give them or anything you wish you knew before you
Mm-hmm.
started that you know
Yeah.
now, like this is a good, advice?
Yeah. I would say, read, read, read.
Hmm.
Read as much as you can in your genre, out of your genre. There's a couple of craft books that I have found really helpful in the past. The first one that I read was The Anatomy of Story by John Truby. And there's a book by Lisa Cron called, oh my gosh, I'm going to blank on the name, but you can just Google her and she has a bunch of storytelling
Mm-hmm.
resources that are really helpful. And then lastly, I would say that I think when you're creating, there's so much noise and so many voices all the
Mm,
time now. And you have to be very purposeful in carving out places of quiet
mm,
so that you can hear your own voice and you can hear God's voice.
mm-hmm,
If you're someone who wants to co-create with God,
mm-hmm,
then that time of quiet and just asking him, could we do this together? Do you have something that you would like to say through me? I would
mm.
love to do this with you. And kind of approach it that way is really beautiful and special
I mean,
and
that's
fun.
great advice for everyone, for everything in your life. It doesn't
Yes,
have to be about this, about
that's
every
right.
single thing.
That's right. Parenting,
Anything.
anything.
Yes. So
Yeah.
good. Okay, so the book is A Kingdom of Shadows. Where can listeners find your book?
So you should be able to find this at all major bookstores. And you can find out more information at www.emilybainemurphy.com. And there's also a special website just for the Lightseekers trilogy. And you can find that at www.jointhelightseekers.com.
Jointhelightseekers.com. So good.
Yes.
So good. I want everyone to read this book. I want everyone to read it to their children, get their children loving books. So it's Emily Baine Murphy, A Kingdom of Shadows. Thank you so,
Mhm.
so much for your time, Emily. I'm so excited about this book. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation and being with you.
Thank you. God bless you.
You too.
Thanks for tuning in to Authors Amplified. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe for more incredible authors next time.